Past death regression, what is that? This is a question that was raised by my video editor. Having edited over 40 videos of mine, he's very familiar with my work, including past life regression, life between lives regression, even spirit release therapy. And one day he asked me, what is past death regression? I don't know where he read it, maybe on my website, wherever he came across it. And he asked him this curious question, what is past death regression? That's when I realized that I took it for granted to think that this term itself is self-explanatory. Looking at it from another angle, I suppose, past death regression can sound very confusing and strange. I am in Mexico, staying in this absolutely stunningly gorgeous, beautiful house as my personal retreat. This is end of November. We started this month with Día de Muertos, the Day of the Dead. So I suppose this is a perfect time and place to talk about past death regression. I coined this term past death regression first in my third book, Many Blessings Will Come. In the chapter Sana's Book of Life. And what happened was my client, Sana, when I was moving her forward in time to the next significant event in that life as Sophia, her name was Sophia in that past life. Sophia was a 19-year-old maid for Jocelyn. And then my client looked very puzzled and baffled. So I remember she kept saying that Jocelyn is very sad. But the strange thing is, she said, she doesn't seem to see me. She is sitting there crying, calling for me, Sophia, Sophia, Sophia. I'm standing right there, but she does not respond to me. Did I do something wrong? Maybe she's angry at me. So Sophia, the maid, was saying that Jocelyn couldn't see her. Now, normally when this happens in a past life regression session, I as a regressionist, I know that this past life personality has actually died. But my client, the person didn't know. I suppose anyone who has seen the movie The Sixth Sense would probably know that sometimes people who are dead don't even know that they are dead. So I had to move Sophia back in time to a moment in time where Jocelyn could see her and hear her. That's when eventually we went to that scene where very traumatic scene where Sophia was brutally raped and murdered. And that actually was when my client, Sana, this mysterious anxiety out of nowhere was revealed, and she healed from that anxiety after the session with me. So after that first session with the Sana, in such a case, I have come across a few other cases the same way, where when we enter a scene and this person feels like they can see and hear everything, but people don't seem to notice them. And of course, when this happens, a client, especially the first timer, they always think something is wrong, and why is it like that, and they're not doing it right. By the way, as a client, There's really no wrong way to do past life regression, or there's no right way to do it, and your way is it has to be the way, and there's no right way to do it. You just follow the practitioner's instructions, and that's all you need to do, really. And as a practitioner, if you're watching a video as a hypnotherapist, it's always a good idea to be one step ahead of your client, so you can really guide in that way. And when people get into an open scene that they don't know, they kind of get confused. They can hear and see, but they cannot be seen or heard. It's normally they have lost the physical body. So it's very important, very helpful if, as a practitioner, we can know that's what's going on. Well, even though most people, they normally come to see me for past life regression or life between lives regression, now I know it's not uncommon that people would go into a very confused death scene. And either at the entry point when we started the past life regression, or when I move them forward in time to the next significant event. So either can happen. Now, normally, actually, we do death scene on purpose. In a regular past life regression, I would bring them to the next significant event, then at one point, after the whole life is reviewed, I would bring them to the day when they die, like a few minutes or few hours before the transition. So I as a hypnotherapist would actually help the client go through the death transitioning in that way, and there's no confusion in that. And so because death scene is actually quite meaningful in the past life regression, but when you think about it, after that they go into the in-between state, life between lives state, and that's without a body. Therefore, in that sense, technically, that can also be past death regression, or maybe we should call that PDR. So here you have it, the answer to the question, what is past death regression? Basically, it's when you do past life regression or anything, hypnotherapy, that you spontaneously go to a scene where the soul has already left the body. That's what it is. So actually, where I am standing is one of those Monarch butterfly sanctuaries in Mexico. It's quite a phenomenon. Those butterflies, every year in November, they would fly from all over southern Canada and all over United States to a few valleys here in central west Mexico. And they would spend a few months here. You don't see them here because we just came down, and suddenly, it's thunder and the cloud came. When there's no sun, they actually they hang on the branches and the trees. They don't fly over. Otherwise, when the sun comes out, it just the whole forest become golden in color, and so it's they migrate. That's phenomenal. Like they're insects. They're not birds, but they migrate 46 kilometers. Can you believe it? And then they stay here for the winter till the next March. They would go back to North America, in the States and Canada. And however, the generation that moves back is not the generation that moves back here, but of course for Mexicans, they move back here, and it would be like 2 or 3 or 4 generations later, and you wonder how they find their own direction. They have an inner campus maybe. So traditionally, Now they migrate. That was only discovered by scientists the last century in the 70s when they traced the monarch butterfly. So can you imagine for eons, for like hundreds of years, local people here, what they experienced was in November, all of a sudden millions of butterflies show up here, and then they believe, because it just suddenly appeared, they believe it's their dead relatives or ancestors, their loved ones, come back visiting them. That's the origin of the 1st of November is being the Day of the Dead, Día de Muertos, I believe. And then that's how they celebrate the dead, and they light the light, and then every March the monarch butterfly starts to go back north, migrate back, and for the local people they suddenly disappeared, and that's how they know it's time to start plowing. Last time I was here was 20 years ago. Can you believe it took me so long to come back, to fly back? But the butterflies I saw today probably would be like hundreds of generations later, descendants of the butterflies I saw 20 years ago. It's amazing. Its death is beautiful. And of course, butterflies, they always symbolize the death, life, rebirth, transformation. Now, what do you think? Leave a comment below, and let me know if you have any further questions on the subject. If you have enjoyed this, you can watch other videos in this channel on past life regressions. My next episode of Hypnosis Q&A from around the world will be done in Australia. Subscribe to this channel so you won't miss the next episode when it comes out in a couple of months.